For my critical analysis, I chose a series of artworks titled Black Shunga by Ofili. This series of art is inspired by Japanese erotic art, Shunga, and reflects Ofili's principles of spirituality and sexuality. He challenged himself to work exclusively with a restricted palette of blues and silver, saying, quote, "I found that the night and twilight here enhances the imagination. It's a different level of consciousness that is less familiar to me." Ofili utilizes different techniques of printmaking, creating dimension and atmosphere to convey the message within every piece. In the series, there are a total of 11 images, each 460 by 260 millimeters, made throughout 2008 and 2015. I personally visited these works at the RISD museums a few years ago, and they were also on display at the moment when I visited New York. At the time of my visit, there was a selection of 6 prints from the portfolio hung in an orderly manner against a dark gray background, and dim overhead lighting was used to highlight the works. A short statement written by Yikti Agarwak, a Brown RISD dual degree student, says the following. Figures intertwined in sexual activity slowly reveal themselves from the twilight shadows of these metallic surfaces. The imagery is reminiscent of Shunga, the Japanese words for erotic art, a woodblock print genre that has been thriving throughout Japan's Edo period. Ofili's prints often allude to eroticism, spirituality, nature, and myth. Their overwhelming blueness, evocative and captivating, accentuates such imagery. These prints are dynamic. They shift and shimmer with light and movement. The story embedded in them unfolds over time when examined with care and concentration. I think they've captured the essence of the series wonderfully with that excerpt. Beginning with different elements of printmaking that compose the pieces, techniques such as etching, gravure, and aquatint on pigmented papers are used in combination. Etching is a printmaking technique by engraving and imprinting designs onto a metal plate, which is then inked and used to make prints. The print that is made is then called a gravure. The aquatint is another printmaking technique, similar to etching, which produces areas of tones rather than lines. It is done by using acid that corrodes onto the plate used to make the design. These techniques can be seen in Black Shunga, as the free forms of ink on the page seems to be formed by aquatint, with finer details seemingly etched into the piece. The pigment on the pages obtain a metallic look, with the shimmer being translucent, shifting from a range of tones as dark gray to blue. Adhering to a monochromatic color scheme throughout the entire canvas, Ofili expresses incredible dimension and space that sets the scene of the pieces. Finer, distinctive lines in the artwork begin to appear as the lighting shifts, with erotic imagery slowly emerging from the deep blue. Each page contains various elements that can only be noticed upon inspections, as finer lines are flawlessly camouflaged in the darkness. I enjoy Black Shunga for being a series of artworks that require time and concentration to appreciate. There is no focal point in each piece. Instead, the lack of visual weight in the prints allows more elements to be discovered as you look deeper into different ranges of tones. It shows amazing craft in the piece with various styles of lines and forms. The figures in the artworks are highly abstract, with fluid outlines giving freedom and interpretation to the viewer depending on the form the eye chooses to focus on. Movement is prominent in the piece, highlighted by lines that seemingly shift with lightning and emphasize the figures shown in different positions. The form of the pieces themselves are asymmetrical, with unique and organic compositions throughout, creating a flowy sentiment fitting to the ruminative theme. These pieces capture common themes of Ofili's work, which follow important social messages of spirituality, eroticism, culture, and history. Ofili is known for his use of sexual material and controversial subjects. In his past works, he has been known for using cutouts of pornography and smearing elephant dung onto his canvases. His work, The Holy Virgin Mary from 1996, stirred up immense controversy when it was shown at the Brooklyn Museum's seminal 1999 show of young British artists titled Sensation. Not only did it challenge the view of assumed whiteness of biblical figures in Western representations, by depicting a Black woman as Virgin Mary, many felt that the painting was an insult to Catholics because the artworks also contained several lumps of elephant dung. In Black Shunga, he emphasized the desire and identity of humans by using concealed imagery to depict sex. The secrecy of the imagery can be related to the layer of censorship society puts on sexuality. Although Ofili's series Black Shunga was created in 2015 and displayed in New York, where the American society was known for its tolerance and acceptance of different perspectives, Shunga originally existed in Japan's Edo period around 1600s to the 1870s, taking its title from spring as a euphemism for sex. Different from Europe at the time, where religion, bans, and prevailing morality enforced an absolute division between art and pornography. Official life in this period was governed by strict Confucian laws, but private life was less controlled, and with advancements in printing technology at the time, produced using the ukiyo-e woodblock tradition, thousands of popular shunga designs were mass-produced and widely distributed by merchants and through libraries. Eventually, shunga was suppressed by the Japanese government around 1722 for its explicit sexual nature. Ofili uses a mix between fluidity and sharpness within the piece, along with the usage of negative space from a range of shades. The shunga can be seen as a hidden message in the artwork. In a discussion I've had with my friend Sarah, we believe that it is a very successful series of work that conveys an act of supposed secrecy to be discovered. As sex is still seen as taboo in many cultures, discussion and depiction of sex are deemed massively inappropriate, as it's said to be private. With this piece, Ofili captures the compassion of sexuality and showcases it without losing the privacy and connection between the two individuals. It's a piece that exists in the disallowance and suppression of sex in society. Using blue tones, connecting escapism into a fantasy world, the intimacy through the scenes is refined by the darkness of colors. The colors also give the prints a dreamlike feel, bringing calmness as opposed to the sadness that is often associated with blue. The moment can only be revealed briefly through specific angles in the lighting. The sexuality in the piece is hidden, not censored. The lack of focal point in the piece allows all elements to be shown and seen equally. While many of the elements are blended, the contrast of line weight between figures and backgrounds establishes a specific moment in the drowsiness of the dream world, capturing the difficult concept of time with forms. I believe that the artwork is unique. Ofili's use of shimmers, playing with movement and perspective of the audience of the piece, makes it almost impossible to capture with a single photograph. The series is something that truly needs to be seen in person to be fully immersed and consumed by its alluring colors and the strong atmosphere, as well as the mysterious mood it creates. At the same time, it shares the common theme regarding culture and society and follows abstract expressionism of other artworks in this exhibit, such as Natal Lake by Didrik Brackens and a set of clothing made by Aju Thompson. As an artist, Black Shunga strikes me in many ways. The use of space, atmosphere, and movement with every scene and piece captures a moment and puts the figures in a dimension with a sense of time passing. It brings a life to abstract shape and flowing lines by simply using the values of color. It inspired me to combine unique mediums and express emotions without the excessive needs for details. The lack of conformity and abstraction gives space for the mind to fill in story within the piece. It's also inspiring to note the importance of the environment that the artwork sits in, as the incredibly captivating display slowly absorbs you into the scene with more and more details appealing to the eye. Ofili is very successful in creating this series of artworks that express principles of spirituality and sexuality. The artworks are interesting to the eyes with different techniques forming a range of lines and value. And by utilizing the lighting for the display, the pieces show great depth of space and follow a mythical atmosphere.